a giant update was released yesterday, and I spent
Yeah.
over 4 hours last night just messing around with it. And I just want to take like basically the release, memo, and I'll cover all the main concepts just so even if you don't get it today, at least you're like aware of what these new updates are because it's a pretty significant. It's putting Logic into the almost Ableton, almost FL category. Is they're giving a lot of features that were not there prior. So what I'm going to do, I'm chatting with you guys, but I'm going to pull up the Logic 10.5 release notes, and then we'll kind of go through the main article. Not literally, I'm not going to read it with you, but literally all the topics we'll just kind of hit today. So it's going to be a really fun one. There is quite a bit of stuff to play around with. I don't know. You know what I should do? Look on Crash Connect. I don't think this is scheduled for more than 2 hours, but we could go a little bit further if, depending on the interest in the room. Let me sign in real quick. And again, I'm giving it at least 3 or 4 more minutes
So I missed a
before.
little bit of the first part. It's Fernie. So are we gonna stay with how the classes have usually been, or are we gonna touch upon the update that came out yesterday?
Yeah, we're gonna cover the update. I mean, I figure there's I mean, I'll still cover like, hey, real time recording. I don't know. Like, I'll show you as much as I possibly can cram in. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. Like, it would be kind of well, I'm looking at who's in the room. Jason would be the only person in first cycle, and I could easily do a first cycle class, but I think if there's majority of people past first cycle, I might as well do just like here's all the update stuff. I think that might be more beneficial. So,
Sorry,
but
Jay, but
yeah, it's Jason's fault. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Hey, is my internet Fernie, you were glitching a little bit. Is everything okay on my end? I'm actually trying to log into Crash Connect and
Good.
it won't log in.
Yeah, you seem to be fine.
Okay.
I
I'm gonna
think I
do
think it's Fernando's connection
most
probably.
likely, most likely.
No, I just wanted to make sure it's not a blame game because I have a physical Ethernet cable that's plugged into the PlayStation. Yeah, I'm doing a speed test and I'm over 25, so it should be good. I was gonna like in a pinch, I was gonna move that cable. You know what? Crash Connect 2 might be down right now. I'll just check the Google Calendar. They're doing a bunch of updates and modifications.
Yeah,
So
this is scheduled till 12 if that's what you were looking for.
is that according to the calendar?
According.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, if we go a little bit past though, I would like to hit all the main points covered in the update. So, um, has anybody in the room already downloaded the update?
Yes.
No, I heard about it yesterday, and I just noticed that the update's sitting on my computer, but I haven't downloaded it yet.
It
Well, I
is
mean,
insane.
Downloading it right
number
now.
number one thing is a lot of people are always hesitant with getting the most current version of something. I have never had any bad problems with Logic. They seem to have pretty good quality control. But keep in mind, I'm speaking personal opinions. I'm not saying nothing will go wrong. But when in doubt, before you update anything, do a time machine backup of your entire system. Also, you could move the Logic 10.4 application, just move that onto an external drive, somewhere off of your computer. Because as soon as you install the new one, it overwrites the last one. So you can't go backwards. You're not going to have. Well, Brock told me to rename the old one Logic 10.4. And I think he meant name it 10.4 because it still overwrote it. So you be careful if you're. How about this? If I was a working composer producer using this every day, I would be more careful with how I did it. But to me, it's like I have to have the newest version because I teach students with the newest version. So I just went in and got it, and I've had no problems. I had several people reach out on social media, like, are there any bugs? Are there any problems with third-party plugins? I've encountered nothing. I had zero crashes, although I wasn't doing, 50 or 100 tracks. Also, yeah, all the plugins that I have loaded third-party plugins, and they work just fine. So I'm not saying there are no problems, but I'm saying it's pretty stable at this point. So, or it feels pretty stable. You know what? I don't have the article. Well, there's an article, but there was like a little overview that I'm trying to find. So we'll give it, what time is it? 10:07. We'll give it a few more. Do you guys have any questions though? Or, well, how about this? How's everybody been? I just started talking about Logic right off the bat because I'm hyped.
Good.
Anything exciting?
Same old, same old.
Same old,
So
same
far,
old.
so far, the most exciting thing that's been good has been this Logic update for me.
Dude, if this came out in the first few weeks, I'd be like, I will survive. Everything is great.
Well,
you know?
hell yeah. Hell
But
yeah. I wouldn't worry
unfortunately-
about a damn thing.
Well, I'd still be worried, but there's just it would be a better, nice distraction. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they definitely look like they're going after Ableton.
Ableton, but also the step sequencer is very much in the FL territory because a lot of people are like, I like sequencing in FL because I just click on the stuff, and I'm like, well, now you have it in Logic, so it's actually, I would say, kind of shooting right in between those two because you could use either style or just use Logic how you've known it forever, and it just gives you a little more flexibility, I think. So I don't know. I'm just pretty hyped up on it, and I definitely stayed up a little too late messing around with it, but I was like, yeah, I'm learning. Might as well dive in, especially for the class. If this class was 2 or 3 days later, I think it would be a little bit different. But I just dived in, and I had a lot of fun last night. So
Yeah, when it came out, I was like, okay, this is rad. I can't wait to play with this. But then I was like, the learning curve is going to be.
it's not that bad, dude. Well, what I do is I'll look at the release notes, and I'll hit like, okay, first topic is, okay, we got these live loops. Okay, just mess around with that for an hour, maybe 2, and then take a break. And then, okay, oh, the next thing is the step sequencer. So I just go section. I'm not like, let's write a song. I'm like, no. It's like you get any new piece of software. I try to focus on, or an update, I try to focus on one topic at a time as a learning mechanism instead of let's compose. I try to separate those two workflows. I had at least 4 sessions last night that were not even saved. Literally, I would just jam on something for an hour or 2, quit, don't save it, because it's not about making music, it's about learning. And then next time I use the tool, or tools, plural, I'll just be more effective. So I just was practicing last night. You guys might want to try that though. Any piece of software, just, instead of I need to make something with this, no, I'm just practicing concepts and techniques just to build up my understanding. So let me do a little, while we're
Put
about
that link in the chat, by the way.
Oh, I was just about to share, but you guys actually, you can open that up on your computer if you'd like. I'm going to remember to record this. Oh, it says pause or stop recording. So apparently this is auto record. I'm going to fire up that link as well and see if it's the same one that I have. I think it is. Yep. All right. Well, let's go through. I'll do a little screen share. Boom. And then I need to share my desktop 1. Can you guys all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the only issue here is that I always lose. Zoom always moves when I do a screen share, but I got to move you guys back up there so I could see everybody separate. I don't want you guys interacting. No, I was trying to make a joke and it didn't work. I just don't want you guys taking up tons of space on a smaller screen. I have like a large screen up here, so there we are. So yeah, we might as well get started. Oh, hello, Glenn. Did not say good morning to you. Top of the morning.
I know nothing about Logic, so I wanted
Oh,
to
man.
catch.
Well, we got a brand new.
I just launched it. It took forever, and it
Sure.
says 10.2.4.
Oh, Glenn, let me tell you something. We got 10.5. It dropped less than 24 hours ago, and it's quite impressive. So I'm going to teach all the new stuff right now.
Okay, so I'm going to be out to lunch. Okay.
No, but you can still learn about it.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I just launched it, and it says Class 1-Tracks.
I don't know.
Huh.
Maybe it's probably like the
Maybe
last
that's where I
session you had
left
open.
it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's in the preferences, you can change the behavior. It can open up the last session. It could open up an empty session. It could go to a template page. So there's preferences for that.
Yeah.
I could show you that if you want.
Oh, sorry. Now, I got some audio in here, so.
Cool. So you
Yeah.
guys see this. I'm not going to read the article, but we'll literally go with like top to bottom. So live loops project, we'll start with live loops. I'm going to leave this article open. The next section, well, this is all live loops. I think you sent me just the live loops link. It's okay. It's totally fine. Let me go backwards here.
It's
I
the
think I
one
ha-
that pops up when you install. So
Oh, there was another one where it had like kind of four main sections, but I should have saved it. And this is just a long list. Dang it. Okay, not a good start, but hey, we're gonna survive. We'll just go to any of these. Maybe this one. Pro Tools Expert, by the way, is now Production Expert. They have Logic and various other resources. Someone is calling me. I'm not going to answer. Cool. So yeah, we'll just go through it. Okay, going fast here. Live loops. Let's go ahead and fire up the software, and then, oops, wow, Command Tab is on the other screen. That's very strange. Anywho, you guys can all see my screen though.
Yes.
One thing I did not do is share my computer sound, so I'm going to do that now, and then we'll fire up Logic. This does say Logic Pro 10.4. I renamed it that, but it's still 10.5, as you can see right there. Now, right off the bat, we get this new, well, normally you don't see details, but in the new project section here, normally it's just empty project, but now you have live loops. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with that. And in order to do this, instead of building things from scratch, this is I spent the least amount of time with this one. But what we're going to do is go to starter grids. And there's a bunch of like starting point. Basically, they're demos or templates for this workflow. You can start an empty one here, or in starter grids, we can just utilize any of the starting points. A lot of these, if we click on them, they'll require, let me see, I downloaded a couple of them, but if you clicked and you saw a little arrow, that means you have to download additional content. The one that I used yesterday was Oblique Structures. Let me see, we'll do Boom Bap Masher. Let's just see what happens there. But I just want to show you, maybe spend like 20, 30 minutes on live loops. So this is a pretty fascinating thing. This is right off the bat, the closest thing to Ableton that I've seen outside of Ableton. That might seem like a weird statement, but actually, has anybody ever experienced GarageBand on the phone, on iOS? No? This is actually something that existed in that environment before we got it in Logic, which is pretty ironic. The idea is you could use your phone or your tablet to launch clips, just like in Logic. Logic was going for the same idea as Ableton, but they didn't implement it. They started with it in GarageBand through the phone, and that's kind of the starting point, and now we have this. So it looks much different, but you can still utilize traditional track area. Do you guys see this button that I'm clicking here? You can actually show or hide. So this is the live loop section, and then we can open up our track section and hide that. So you could still use this in a totally normal way. But let's start with just, there's how you switch it back and forth. And by the way, you can use both at the same time. I just wanted to throw it out there. They recommend if you're using just the live loops over here, you can leave a cycle on, which it should be there on the templates by default. But if I start playing something, and I'll explain more, but check this out. Do you guys notice that the playhead, even if I stop, it just keeps going? Do you guys all see that? So
yeah,
this
we have no audio though.
Unacceptable. Well, you guys can imagine what it sounds like, right?
Absolutely.
That was a joke. I swear I've done this at least a couple times. This is my first time up this early in a while, I'll be honest. I've been doing the midnight oil sort of thing. Well, the 3 a.m. thing. So, do you guys all hear that now? Okay. Now, check this out. I can play any of these live loops. It's so hard to not call them clips because that's what Logic calls them, or Ableton. But if you're working just with the live loops over here, they do recommend just setting up a cycle. It could be 1 bar, it could be 4, it could be 8 bars. That way because eventually you'll end up way out here. Does that make sense? It's not a mandatory thing, but that's a little side note. Let's focus more on just the general workflow here. And one thing I haven't really done is work on zoom. Yeah, you can definitely zoom up here so you can see icons. That's not really the focus of what we're doing today. Not like getting into customizing the visual. That's probably the least important thing. But here's the idea. We have beats, toppers, all this stuff. Each one of these is a non-linear loop. I could play anything. Let me just stop all clips down here. I could play one thing. This will forever loop. Just like if you have any background with Ableton, this will continuously move. If I go to the next live loop, notice it waits. Did you guys see how it kind of pulsed and hesitated? I'll do it one more time. I'll do it. So what it's doing, it's waiting to come in at the next bar. Is everybody okay? The quantized start right here is 1 bar. So if I launch another live loop or region or clip, the terminology is still new to me. It's never going to play these two at the same time. Is everybody cool? It's just one of these per track, but you can have numerous tracks with numerous live loops. So I can play, and you guys see above each one of these little cells, there's a little play button. So I could play these manually. And again, when I bring stuff in, it will be in time. Now, I can do all of these. Here, let me stop everything. You have a global stop. I'm not using 100% perfect terminology, but this is stop all clips. That's actually the Ableton term. But the idea is, instead of, let's say I wanted all of these to play simultaneously, what I can now do is click here. So they have it, Logic has it organized on the bottom, whereas Ableton Live, you would have your scenes on the right-hand side, but it's the same exact idea. So I play scene 1, and it will launch all of them. And I can launch the next scene. Is everybody feeling okay with that idea so far?
Yes.
Now, I didn't make this. I'll show you how you could do this from scratch. There are some Apple Loop live loops that you can just drag and drop. You could clearly use all of these, but I mean, we're not going to do that. We're not going to use this for the whole day. Let's go for this idea, though. You can actually use a combination of live loops and normal tracks. So I could have like a drum loop playing forever, just looping, but then I could be recording a bass in real time, and then I can go back and chop the bass and make loops out of that and drag them over. So you can definitely move your files to and fro. As long as you know how to use the software, it's very, very flexible. That was a general statement that probably applies to more than this. Anyway, I'm not going to spend, like I said, too much time on this one, but I want to show you that you can actually record what you're doing here into the actual track area and make an arrangement out of it, and then you can go back and edit and change things up if you so desired. So what we'll do is we'll make sure we're at bar 1 here. There's a special new record button right here. Enable performance recording. Boom. Now it doesn't start recording, but as soon as I press R or click the record up here, we will get a 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's recording. Notice nothing's happened yet. I will actually trigger scene 1, and it's recording everything I'm doing in real time. Now, I just faded some stuff out. I actually didn't test this last night. I'm curious about the if it records that as automation. But you guys get the idea. This stuff on the right was a result of what I just did on the left. Is that idea making sense? Now, to get back over here, you guys see how all these regions are grayed out? We're still focused in the live loop section. Hardest part is terminology today. I'm going to stop all clips. That way we're no longer playing over here, and now I can just play back over here. Okay, what I notice, it did not record that well. Nope. Okay, so today I learned these volume changes that I did at the end are actually global. They were not committed as automation. So that's a good and a bad thing. There might be a way of enabling that, but I'm not sure yet. But at least you guys see that whatever changes I do over here can be recorded into a linear sense on the right-hand side. And again, if I had something that I recorded like a guitar part, and I'm like, let's make that into a loop. You can edit here and just drag it in. You could literally create it. I'll show you that after this. I'm not going to use the template for that. But does it make sense that we can fly back and forth between linear and nonlinear? That's like the kind of the intro that I would like to start with. Now, instead of using something pre-configured, what I'm going to do is just close this out. So don't save, and we'll make a brand new one. And we'll go, by the way, they have tutorials for this as well. This is a new section where they have for the 3 things. It's funny because I could literally just open these up, but you can also do that. So I think that'd be kind of pointless. But definitely check these out. They do require additional downloads for basic content, but it's not significant. And it's literally walking you through step by step. So let's go with a new project, Live Loops, and this will be an empty one. And please notice right off the bat, there's a little bit, you're definitely going to see a couple visual differences, but in general, it shouldn't appear to be like completely foreign. But here's the kicker. We have in our loop packs over here, just the general loop browser, we can now, there's more than just MIDI and audio loops. Do you guys see all of these? So if I wanted just pattern loops, I would just click on it. And this is how many you get to start with just to experiment. But you can make your own as well, like I said. So let's go just for a real simple example. I'm not going to spend too much time with artistic choices today. I'm just going to use disco beat and craze bass, whatever. You can still preview from here, but check this out. I'll drag this in. And now we have this, and we'll do craze bass on another track. And let's just play these together. And that's how you become a famous producer, all right? That's really all you need to know about Logic. Have a great day, guys. You guys are supposed to be like, oh my God.
I was totally laughing.
Oh, I felt completely ignored.
I was redesigning my business card to include this.
So a quick question, Scott.
Yes.
That previous screen you had there, that was kind of like a rainbow of little blocks.
Yeah, well, check it out, Glenn. This is the same thing, but because I have less material in it, you can definitely change the layout. This is the same exact workflow, but I only have 2 clips or 2 regions on 2 tracks, so that's why it looks a little bit different.
No, it wasn't. Okay, I understand Logic has a lot of different views. Is this digital audio or is it MIDI?
Oh, these are digital audio.
Oh, so
yeah,
these are samples.
Yeah, but the cool thing is with Flex Audio, you could actually, so you guys all can see this over here. I actually had 2 different things at 2 different tempos. The drums were 108. I brought those in first. Our global tempo conformed. And then I brought in a bass line that was 120, and it actually time stretches it and quantizes it to be properly in time. So if this is very much like warp mode in Ableton, so they're definitely competing quite a bit. To give you an example, let me get rid of the craze bass, and we'll just delete that. And let's go for Acid Rain Rising Bass 120. So this is at a different tempo. Boom. So that still plays back normal, but now let's play the whole scene. Now, Glenn, to go back a little bit more detail, this definitely is new as far as the loop pack, the Apple Loop section. This did not become a menu. It was not a jump out menu. You could just toggle between, the different, well, I'm not sure when this changed. But Glenn, do you see this? We got like audio loops. That would just be audio. Software instrument loops, this would be like MIDI loops where you could actually, let's do this because you can actually, the cool thing about this, I should be very clear. The live loops are not specifically just for the pattern loops. These are just like dedicated, but I could take in 80s pop beat. Boom. Now, I don't know what this is, by the way. So yeah, it's just a cheesy beat, but it will conform to the tempo. That actually was not that good, but you guys get the idea. I can take, here, let's do one more. I could take an Apple loop, just a standard audio. And by the way, I'm not going for key or scale. I'm literally just going fast here. Let's go acoustic noodling because that sounds funny. So yeah, these will all conform together, not necessarily pitch wise, but you can definitely transpose things. If I wanted to transpose this up, we could go, actually in this one, in the cell view, I'm not sure if it's going to behave the same. We have transpose right here, so I can actually click and drag it up. This will be semitones, or you can click over here and do octaves, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, we have a wide variety of loops to work with, audio, MIDI, and now we have the specialized pattern loops, and you have drummer loops, which is based on the Logic's drummer track. So the idea is we can use anything we want over here. Is everybody cool with that idea? You could even record into this view. That's kind of something I should show you. Let me get rid of everything just so it's not as crazy here. Let's go this. And what I'm going to do is maybe two birds with one stone. This track was already in the session, but we have a brand new sampler. How many people have used Logic's EXS24 sampler? Anybody? I'll give you a hint. It's not fun. It's not modern design. It's literally from Logic 9. They had never updated it. So this is brand new, and it looks and behaves much snappier. It just looks more modern and current. What I'm going to do is, just for a quick example, I'm going to go, and by the way, they have, this is the simple sampler. They have two different ones. There's a lot more samples than just what we see right here. But I'll go, I don't know. I really should just go faster. Vintage synth. Okay, cool. Now, just for simplicity, I'm going to mute the bass line. I just wanted to show you that we can record into these cells. Is everybody cool? Now, I haven't tried this yet. Spacebar, and then we should be able to quantize this. If we just double click, just like you normally would, or option double click, we can now, no, that's not going to work because we're in this view. But you can still go down here, edit, you can still quantize, you can do all of your normal stuff. So I'll quantize that and we'll move it up 2 octaves. Well, the quantizing was off by a little bit, but I'm going very fast. Is everybody comfortable that we can record directly into these cells? That's a really cool, different workflow, especially if you're just generating small little loops or patterns that will repeat forever. Another thing that's really interesting, audio. Now, I'm not going to do this because I'm currently using my mic with Zoom, but I can actually record audio just on the fly. Did I make the right type of, I think I canceled that. Please come back. I did the wrong quick key. Please, is the quick key not working when I'm in? That's very strange. So audio track input 1.
Quick keys changed, by the way.
Option Command N is still working, but I think it was based on where my focus was. There are some new quick keys, which I have not learned that well. But here's the idea. I could record my vocal right into here. Hey, how's it going? Hello. Drop it like it's Scott. And then it would just be a little audio loop. And then we could just move that around, copy and paste. So you have a lot of flexibility. But again, I didn't want to spend the full portion over here. I just wanted to introduce all the major themes today. Are you guys feeling okay with the recommendation? Just start with, let me close this out. start with, this is all I did. Literally, tutorials, mess around with this, and I'll even show you how these work so you're not completely intimidated. They always have the little trackpad open over here, and it's actually, well, it's the notepad for track by track. So what you do is you start on one, you read it. You can either choose the second track and you get updated notes, or you can use your arrows. And what it's going to do is literally walk you through what I just showed you, but at your own pace. So we have cells and scenes. Here's your quantization. You guys see how as I arrow over, it's just literally moving the tracks down? So this is a real simple one, but the other two are more in depth. I'll close that out. And again, Command N. Yeah, these are a little bit more in depth. I would definitely recommend checking them out. This one, honestly, I'm pretty hyped on sampling again. Whether it's something that I sampled or some sample I found, you can really trip it out pretty quickly, pun intended. I would definitely scope those out, okay?
Yo, Scott,
Yo,
have you messed around with the Auto Sampler audio effects plugin?
no. What is it called?
That's it's called the Auto Sampler. It's so when your audio effects on each channel, say you have a MIDI instrument or you're bringing in an external instrument, I'm hearing it comes from MainStage, and now it just got moved to Logic. So basically, it'll auto sample an external instrument to your liking in regards to velocity,
wow.
time, in regards to it's a beast. Logic is a beast now.
Yeah.
It's always gonna be.
Well, it's always been fun and powerful, but now it's like so more options just for different workflows. I didn't really catch that because all I did was go through the main release. Like, here's all the new features, and I just went through those. But I'll definitely experiment for sure. Check it out soon. You guys, good tutorials. Check them out. You can do this at your pace and your leisure. I would definitely run through those. Might take you an hour to 2 hours to do all this, going slow and steady, but it'll make a lot more sense. Also, as soon as you go through live loops, open up a couple starter grids and get a feel for it. That is honestly, I'm not as super hyped on this because I already have Ableton, but some people that don't have Ableton, they're like, oh, dang, I could actually perform with Logic now, like on stage performance, whenever that happens. Anyway, bad joke. Let's do a brand new empty project. And what we're going to do, we're ignoring live loops. We'll just go for a standard one. And to start with, we'll just do software instrument. I want to show you the sampler. So the quick sampler, that's actually on the, actually, let's go in order here. Yeah, sampling. Okay, so sampler is the next section here. There are two different samplers, and I can't cover the more advanced one because I didn't spend enough time with it. But I'll show you what we got here. We got quick sample. You guys see the single sample here. And then the sampler, multi-sample. In Ableton, this would be simpler and sampler. It's literally going for the same exact idea. If you have one sample that you just want to play chromatically, use this. If you have numerous samples that you're building, layered, I'm not good at terminology this early in the morning. If you're building complex sample mapping scenarios, you would definitely use the more complex option. But let's just go single sample, stereo.
Scott, quick question.
Yes.
I didn't put the ESX24 in there anymore.
Gone.
Wow.
Well, but check it out though. It's this is very important. They didn't want to lose. They didn't want to piss people off. This is fully compatible, so you could load an instrument. And as a matter of fact, let me just show you real quick because that was one of my thoughts because I don't use it that much, but there's people that use it all the time. So check it out. Once this thing opens up, you have actually, it looks different, but you have all of the same exact, it's like Japanese koto. It's there. You have all the normal stuff. And if you had, here's the one thing that I didn't do that I'm not going to guarantee, but if you had your own settings in EXS24, would they show up above? I'm not sure. But
yes, they do.
What I've read is that programs are completely forward compatible. You would not lose a thing. So they've redesigned the complete layout, but the format for how they're saving the samples is apparently the same exact thing. So yeah, that's one of the first things I noticed. I was like, oh, what are the new thing? Oh my God. Oh my. And then I was like, nope, we'll be okay. Now I'm going to go back to the simpler one because I'm not an expert, not yet. Ooh, snap. Do you guys have 10 seconds? hopefully this, I'm just going to do it, whatever. Hopefully I don't have anything inappropriate in my email. That was a joke, guys. Go ahead and try. Try me. I actually just got, huh? I got Mellotron samples. No. David Davis. David Davis, we had a grad thing with him. Here we go. I'm just going to download this real quick, and I'll literally, what do you guys want? Brass, choir, woodwinds. I'm going to download them all, but what do you guys think? Ooh. Maybe it's quicker just to do one. Let's do woodwinds. I'm deciding. Yay. Can I download this, please? Maybe I should not. You know what? Bad, Scott. Let's stay focused. I don't want to use a preset where it's already loaded in there. Ooh, and with Zoom, I can't record my voice. Here's what's really hip, though. This is, okay, I can record literally, hello. I can sample directly into this thing without, I don't have to go to an audio track and then drag and drop it like it's got. I can actually load files. I can record files directly in. Set the recording input. I forget where you do that, right here. Let's just see if it works. It's probably not going to. Oh, nope. It doesn't work because I'm using it with Zoom. Another phone call. So are you guys cool though? If you had your interface connected and you go input 1, you could literally talk into the mic and it will sample directly in, and you could pitch it up, pitch it down. You can trip it out. You can play it backwards, whatever you want. That's not the main theme of what I wanted to cover, but that is unique. That never existed before. What I'm going to do is just take any old Apple loop. I'm thinking something guitar-ish. I don't know. I guess I could probably search here. I don't use this all that much. Electric guitar, sure. Oh, yes. Now there's two options here. I'll explain that. Can we do this? Yeah, so you have original. This one I haven't really read about, but original tuning, loudness, looping, and length. This one, though, it's going to be a little bit better. Search for loop points, crop the silence. This is like quick, just chuck it in there and start messing around. This is, I guess, a little bit more optimal. But you literally can just drag a file in, and now... you can just play it with the standard keyboard. But what's really fun is just messing around with these samples. There are different modes, which I'm not going to cover because there's still a lot of other things to cover today. One shot versus slice. Like now I can, well, here's it in 10 seconds. Do you guys get the idea what I'm doing?
Oh, yeah.
So that is really cool. You could chuck in drum beats, chuck in melodic things, chop it real quick, and it's automatically kind of finding in transients. You can move these around. So it's pretty good from what I've tested, but you can definitely move things around. You can play each slice. So if you're more of an old school, like I want to MPC style, chop something up, you got slice mode. But let's just go for classic or one shot, and then I'll show you a couple things we could do here. Well, so I could play it back low or high. That's obviously based on the pitch of my keyboard, but I have independent pitch control here. So I could be octaves lower. So you can get, there's a wide range of pitch possibility. But what's fun here is glide. So you can definitely glide between your samples. Sorry, my cat's distracting me. Also, this is a pretty interesting one if you guys aren't used to, well, this is still new to me, but envelope depth of pitch, this can actually change the pitch of the sample as it starts. So you have like attack and decay. I find this very useful that they give you more than just ADSR. Some of you guys are hip to this, but we teach you attack, decay, sustain, release. That's the most common envelope, 4-stage. There are numerous other stages, especially with samplers and synthesizers. So attack, decay, it's only 2 stages, but let me Do you guys hear that at the very beginning? Oops, it's not working now. Interesting. Do you guys hear that? So you can combine glide and a little bit of pitch modulation just to get some interest. And I'm just doing this quick as an example. Another thing we could do here is turn on the filter, and we could actually do something similar. So we could have a much softer sound, but we could use this envelope. And again, you have your different shapes down here. I'll just leave it on ADSR. But this right here, what it's going to do, the envelope will actually open the filter a little bit more, but it'll follow this curve. If we go in a positive, you guys see that little, how I bring the envelope depth and we get this little change? You guys see that? Like when I start the key, it'll begin the envelope and the filter opens and closes according to the settings that I have established right here. So that's much quicker. Crank up your resonance. Drive. Sounds completely different, obviously, depending on what you're going for. Just real simple ideas just to take something and flip it quickly into something new. Maybe one or two more things regarding sampling. Are you using the sampler? I'm not teaching you the art of sampling. That could be a 4-year class, and I'm not even a great sampler. But check out LFO1. You have LFO2. I haven't really dived into the mod matrix yet, but LFO1, we can set a general rate or we can have it a musical division. Let's go for something divided. Well, something in... So are you guys cool with that? This is unsynced, just a time, or excuse me, a frequency. And then this will be, like 1 bar. Now, down here, where are we going? Target? We could go pitch, filter cutoff. We'll go for something like volume. Where is volume? Am I missing it? Volume. I'm still learning the layout here. Now, this is affecting, so we have 1 bar LFO going to volume, but it's not actually doing anything until we move positive or negative. This is sounding a little bit... Do you guys, let me open up the filter much more and back this off. Do you guys see this right here? That's actually the volume. Let me, do you guys see how, can you see? Okay, perfect. Can you guys follow the volume? And I'm going to move the range here. So I can go the full range of volume, or it could be very subtle like this. So I find that to be very, very useful. And let's go faster. Can you guys hear that tremolo effect? I'm going to bring this up a little bit. Can you hear a little bit of a flutter to it? I can go for something more obvious. We can go square, so it's on-off. Let's make it way more obvious. So basically, you have a couple LFOs, plenty of destinations. And again, I haven't even touched the modulation matrix. You could route modulation wheel to anything over here. So this is, for a simple sampler, it's actually very well laid out. It literally took me about 20 minutes to kind of just learn the basics. I would definitely recommend, this is, even though you guys might be hyped on the other features, this is really exciting for people that have been staring at the boring sampler. I mean, it literally looked like 1998 visual status. So this is just a little bit more hip, a little bit more exciting for people that have been seeing Logic for a while. A couple other things, though. You could do playback forward or reverse. So literally just boom. Let me get rid of the volume, or at least let's go triangle and we'll mellow it out a little bit. So if you've never messed with the sampler, it's definitely like one of my favorite things. It's like, no, just flip it around. Literally just switch it up. You guys notice that it is looping as well. You can have no loop, forward, reverse, alternate. Alternate would play through and then come back. Interesting. I think we do this. Let's go faster. So I think you guys get get the idea. You can control your direction and how it loops. Another thing worth mentioning with the loops, and then we'll probably move on, you can change where it starts and stops and the loop points. It's either the mouse or with zoom in the background, but I'm getting some weird behavior here. If I play it from here, let's go for, I just went forward and forward. So it's like matched up here. So when I'm playing right now, I'm going to move the octave up a couple. Do you guys notice that it starts over here, plays all the way through, and then it starts looping within this range? This is if you have one note that you want to sustain for a while. Like, let's use this. I'm just going kind of quick here, but let's use this. So if you wanted, if you have a sample that you just wanted to play through once and stop, that's an option, but you can also have like the end of a note sustain, and that way you can get longer durations out of it. And you can actually manipulate the crossfade right here to avoid clicks and pops. This is actually really, I was messing around with just random samples. I'm not going to keep going, but do you guys get the idea? You can just freely move start and end points and where it's looping. So you can do some of the classic sample abuse would be something like this. Where it's just glitching between those points. So I would say, and then we haven't even added any effects to this. I would definitely encourage you guys to spend some time. It's like I could easily start something with just that, free sample, spent 10 minutes tweaking around with it, and now we have something completely new. I don't know if there's much more that I would like to cover here, but like I said, the presets, there's not tons of them. But I think what I would really encourage is for you to take something that you recorded off of a microphone, a guitar, heck, even a vinyl record, as the classic sampling would probably, the origins of sampling, and then just chuck it in here and mess around with it. That's going to be more fun than just using presets. If you wanted a preset sound, I would say that's what all the other instruments are for. They're not going to give you tons in here because you have Apple loops to sample. So that's kind of the whole idea there. Even though this was a quick overview, do you guys have any questions on just the general vibes here? No?
Well,
Nothing?
Scott, I got distracted for a minute when you pulled up the Mellotrons.
Yeah, David Davis, I
Where
messaged.
are they? Where does that exist?
He honestly, I haven't even downloaded them yet. He just sent me his own Mellotron samples.
Oh,
So
well, where did you just get them from? I saw them on the screen.
That's from David Davis, but I hadn't downloaded them yet. And I was like, I don't want to go through and pick which ones. But hey, Glenn, check this out. Oops, I'm in the wrong section. Logic has a built-in vintage Mellotron that's pretty decent. It's not obviously world-class, but in their software instruments, I think this is 10.3 update, though. If you don't have it, you have to update one version. But the updates are free, though. And this is really, I like this. I mean, I'm not a great keyboard player, but you can get, let me transpose that up a little bit. They have all of your standard voicings here, what you would probably expect, even though it's a very simple user interface, but they have all the standard stuff. But we can do tape speed, tone, volume. So if I'm just writing a song and I'm like, I just want that sound real quick, and I'm not concerned with the utmost perfection or accuracy of the sound, I would actually really recommend this one. It's quite cool. It just has an older sound, as you would kind of expect. Another cool thing with this, though, is you can blend, you could have 3 violins here and a cello here, and then you could transpose the parts independently.
You could never do this with an actual Mellotron.
No, exactly. And you have a blend right. You can.
I was working with a band in the 70s actually changing banks of tapes.
Yeah.
In
no,
Mellotrons.
physical tape
Yeah.
loops. Yep.
Yep.
this gets pretty weird. Here, let me do it. But the whole
No, I don't
idea,
want to hold up your presentation.
no. But
The
this
other
is
quick question I
you can
had
automate though.
is
Go
everything
ahead.
is everything we're looking and seeing at 44.1?
You know what? When I made this session, let me. Ooh, okay. I'm just gonna close it out. This is something that
Or
go ahead.
question mark, if you make a session at 48K, does it sample rate convert everything from samples or
That I
or
never.
is it expecting you are working at 44.1 all the time?
No, check this out. When this is the details down here. You can the default is 44.1. You can go up to 192 depending on your interface.
Holy mackerel.
So yeah, it's all the normal sample rates and bit depths would be supported, but bit depth is not in when you make a session. It's not here. It's actually in. It's it's very strange that they don't put it here.
Ah,
But the idea is default is 44.1.
okay.
If I created a session at 44.1, I'm just gonna make another session real quick. We'll just do another software instrument and sampler. But then, do you guys know where sample rate and bit depth are? Does anybody remember?
File, project settings, audio.
Project settings, audio, 44.1. Now, if I were to record something and then change it, I've never done that. I've never once done that. So I don't have a solid answer for you there. You got me. Now, can you export this? Yeah, you can export stuff and convert it, but I don't know if you switch it in the middle of it.
If you switch it, it will pitch change on you.
It will.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Ryan.
So don't do that. Actually do it. It might be awesome. Okay. Now we were talking about the sampler. But yeah, dude, the Mellotron, even though the visual is not that like, I don't know, complex, I think that's kind of a good thing. So definitely mess around with that Mellotron. I've actually sampled that, like record something, turn it into audio, kind of mess around with it, pitch it up, pitch it down. It's a very, very cool starting point. Let's go back to our article. It's funny. This was probably what I was looking for when I was looking for the article. It's actually the user guide. Yep. So check this out. We did live loops. We did the sampler. I'm kind of going out of order. Next thing we'll cover is, and actually this is twofold. I'm not going to do remix effects yet. We'll kind of wrap that up. Step sequencer so that's new, but the drum machine designer has been modified, updated, enhanced. So I'm going to show you these two things in one. And actually, you know what? We're going for 2 hours. We're about an hour in. Maybe that's a good thing to cut. Like I always want to take a short break in between. Do you guys have any questions? We'll probably do a short break since we've covered like a third of this stuff so far. I just remembered, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not going to talk for 2 hours straight with no break. Do you guys have any questions on the sampler or on the live loop functionality?
Yeah, Scott, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, that's Joseph. I have a question. Your logic looks different from mine. Am I outdated or are you using...
Were you here at the very beginning?
No, I joined late. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not upset. I'm not looking up and keeping an eye on the crew the whole time. No, I'm covering literally the updates. There was a giant update that was announced and released yesterday.
Okay.
So
Where can I
this
find
came
that?
out App Store.
Okay.
If you sign into the App Store and just look for updates, Logic 10.5 came out yesterday.
Awesome.
And all I was trying to do is turn this into like a 2-hour introduction overview of all the new features because I spent 4 or 5 hours last night with it. So
All right. Thank you so much.
yeah, I would say check out the rest of the class, and if any of these features are catching your interest, go get the download. Have you been using it for a long time?
I've been using it ever since I got it with the school, and I kind of like the workflow and everything in Logic.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say one thing that I've had a few people hit me up, like former students and people just that have been out there doing stuff. How safe do you feel this is? I'm like, it's totally fine. But let's say, here's a good example. John Enroth, he graduated in like 2002 and he works for Mark Mothersbaugh. He's like a professional composer. He hit me up and he's like, what do you know about it? I'm like, it seems to be fine. But he's like, I'm in the middle of this, and this. He has like 5 different TV and film projects. And he's like, I can't update until we get like a break. And I'm like, I'll check it out and let you know. But someone like that would never jump on day one because it could jeopardize anything they've been working on. For an average bedroom producer, this guy, it's like, who cares? Just hit go and have fun with it. So
Right.
if you have, I would say a good safety recommendation, put all of your projects that you currently have and put copy the application to an external drive that is not connected to your computer. And then if you run the actual update and you're not feeling it or there's a problem, you can always kind of go backwards, or even better, just back up your whole machine if you haven't done that in a while. That way you can go revert back if you had any regrets. But I would say, personal opinion for everybody in this room, unless you're making your money with Logic, it's probably, you're not risking that much. So for me personally, I have to stay current because I teach in first cycle. Literally the next first cycle class that I teach will be utilizing this particular version. So that's why I'm trying to get hip to it. So yeah, that's literally what I'm going to be focusing on today. That we started with live loops and sampling, and then I'm going to cover some drum machine step sequencer stuff after we take a short break. Any other questions? So yes, it is supposed to look different. That is to be expected. Any other questions, comments? Okay, how about this? 10:58, we're about halfway through. Quick little potty, coffee, refill, half of a smoky, whatever you're into. Let's be back, I don't know, 58. I would say 11:06. Everybody okay? So 06, I'll be right back.
Okay.
is my cat's tail, if you saw it. Just thought you should know that. All right. So, by the way, Joseph, are you Ian? Maybe I was confused initially, if you can hear me.
I just got back. No, I'm not Ian.
Is there an Ian Keller also at school right now?
No, I'm the only Keller I know of besides
Okay.
Helen Keller.
Well, there you go.
But he's not
Uh,
here right now.
Say again, Patrick, you said there is?
There is an Ian in my cycle, but he's not here in this Zoom meeting
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. No, I for some reason I confused you too. But yeah, don't feel bad about sometimes when I ask like, oh, were you not here at the beginning? That may have sounded like finger pointing. No, I was just clarifying because teaching this way is hard to keep like I have you guys up here and I have logic, but I'm usually not looking up there unless someone has a question. So yeah, don't be bummed if you ever general statement, if you guys can't show up to the Zoom meeting right when it's scheduled, but you pop in 15 minutes late, that's better than nothing. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify I'm not upset or anything like that. I'm stoked that you're here. So here we go. We're gonna rock the step sequencer. This is actually personally my favorite thing. What are you doing, Kat? I would say of the new features, I mean, the live loops, that's cool. I'm probably not gonna use it that much initially because again, I have Ableton and I'm used to that. It's not about me. My favorite thing though is definitely the step sequencer. Let's go ahead and start with, and actually I'm going to do two, like I mentioned, two different things, two birds with one stone, if you will. What we're going to do is actually we'll start over, and I'm going to make a software instrument track, but I'm going to do an empty channel strip, and I'm going to show you the Drum Machine Designer. And this is something that you can use presets or you can build your own and save them. If you have a favorite, let's say that you like to use like classic 80s drum machine samples, you can build, if you have the samples, you can build it, save it, and then you'll never have to create it over and over sort of thing. So we'll just do a software instrument track, empty channel strip, and you will use the library for this. So just a little heads up there. So the library on the left. Now we have nothing loaded. You can see in the inspector here, there's nothing. What we're going to do is go for electronic drum kit. And the one thing that I will say, I haven't dived through all these, so I don't quite know what we're going to get here. I'm going to open up the keyboard just so I can trigger some samples. Let's go Birdland calls. So I click on this and it loads. So as you notice, it's Drum Machine Designer, but you will experience some melodic samples as well. There might be little chord stabs. There might be a little bass hit. So that's a little side note. Not all of these are exclusively drums. I'm not a fan of things that play back. Well, for Drum Machine, I'm thinking one hits. Perfect. I'm not going to be too picky. I'm going for the concept more than the exact sound. So bumper. Now, if we open up DMD, this is Drum Machine Designer. I'm going to hide the library by pressing Y. I'll close out the keyboard. So Y, no more library. And then just for right now, I'll open this back up and then show you the Drum Machine Designer. So this looks very simple and kind of primitive. If you guys have seen like Battery as an example, it's a much more, I don't know, powerful looking interface. But I think the benefit of Logic is the simplicity of the graphic user interface. It's more about making music than getting super lost in the technical details. So even though these appear to be very cartoonish little icons, it's like, who cares? As long as it sounds good and you can work fast with it, I think that's more important. Kind of a clicky kick right here. So I'm just playing through some of these samples. And what's worth mentioning is that you can change the input notes. It says not, this one is using like a cross. You can actually, you can use, like for example, if I wanted to play this with C0, it's like I could go in and assign it to Z0. So worth mentioning, if you have, let's say you have a traditional MIDI keyboard and you want to use just the white keys, what you would do is you would set it up and then save this. You could save it and then never have to remap it at all. So that's just worth mentioning. I'm not going to do any remapping for this example, but here's let's go for snare. Now, what's kind of cool is that we could turn on and off. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's a large chain of effects over here. For each voice, we could decide to add drive or compression. And as you turn these things on, it's the same thing as activating them here in the inspector. So if I wanted the snare to have some drive, I would turn it on here, turn this up. If I wanted to add bit crusher. So for each of these voices, I can click on rim. Oh, if you double click, it'll load the sample details down here. So you're actually running like a simple sampler down here. But pad controls, if we go back here, we can just mess around per voice with all these different parameters. So I can add, for example, I could add reverb to just these two, but nothing else will receive it. Does that make sense? All good there? So reverb on that, delay, but the kick will lack those features. So this is really, compared to the previous drum machine option was Ultrabeat, and Ultrabeat was pretty cool, but you would have to route every single thing to a different submix output, and then on the mixer in Logic, you could send that to plugins. This is just all built in. So I think that's a really kind of a nice approach. One more thing, and I'm going to actually load a different kit. I just wanted to introduce the idea that you have all of your different sample cells up here. And by the way, some of these will go further. So you can have, what is this? That's 16 times 3 as far as in one shell. So that's pretty nice. Let me, yeah, I'm going to show you one more thing. If you have, and this is related to the idea that you can build your own. Where is it? Empty kit. Where is it? My eyeballs are playing tricks on me. So if you do an empty kit, what you get is this. You can just drag and drop samples directly into this, into these cell positions. Does that make sense, guys? So if you already have a bunch of drum samples and you're like, I don't want to use Logic's defaults. I want to use my own special sounds that you've acquired, you know, just drag and drop. And then what you would do is just save that. Very much a new thing in 10.5 is that instead of running just an audio sample, you can actually use, this is very cool, although I'd have to think about how to get here. I'm having a moment. There's a new, hold up, I'm having a moment. There's a new feature, and I know how to get to it over here. It's just called Drum Synth. Please. Oh, it's not going to work on this one because we already have an instrument. Let me show you real quick on another track, and I haven't figured this one out yet. Yeah, I'm trying to do a new track, and it's not working as far as the quick key. I think it depends on where I'm focused.
You're talking about like having an instrument
within
on one of the
each
cells?
sample cell, exactly. So drums, and I'll figure out how to do this. I have not yet, but it is possible based on the reading. Drum synth, this is a separate track, but I'll show you.
Doesn't it work like a track stack? You just drag it in and then it would put it in as a cell?
Well, I'll show you track stacks. Like I'll load another kit and you'll see, I should have covered that before this, but let me just show you the idea. This is brand new and it's related, but you could use this independently. You could use this on a track by itself, or you could load 16 examples of this and make your own drum sounds. That is quite tasty. We're on the kicks right now, but you have snares, claps, percussion, hats, and cymbals. And within kicks, we have start points here. But you can freely move all these around and just make, it's basically a drum synthesizer as opposed to playing back samples. And what's cool about this is you can play them chromatically. So if you want 808s, you know, this clearly is way too much, but you can play chromatically instead of just playing back a sample and, you know, just one variation. It's like, and all the octaves work. So it's almost like you can make a melodic percussive part simultaneously. So the idea is it's just a brand new simple interface. I really like the simplicity of it, just for getting ideas going quickly. Now, how to actually do this though? I think that we could, I'm going to try this out. I think that we can drag the drum synth directly in here. Nope. All right, maybe I should have experimented with that first, but who knows?
Maybe a region.
What do you mean?
Oh, what if you recorded like from the drum synth and then drug that region into?
But this doesn't hold
There's
actual
directions.
information. Say again?
There's directions right underneath the thing, or insert an instrument plugin on the track's channel strip.
Oh, or insert an instrument plugin on the track's channel strip. Dude, would you look at that? That was a test, just seeing who's paying attention. Good job. So apparently we can just drag this in. Maybe we open this up. Nope. Let's just try. Well, that's the thing. I'm like, where do I put it? Because I can't put another. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Duh. I have a feeling it's this. Track stack, which I'll explain more. Yep, that's what it is. Beautiful. So you can, what I would do is do this one time. I would insert 16 of these things on 16 different tracks and then just go from there. So drum kit, drum synth, mono or stereo, guess it doesn't matter. Yep, there it is. Now check it out. Now we have the same drum synth controls within. So I could play this and then on the next track. See, I'm gonna get rid of the snappy snare so there's no confusion. But that's the one thing I'm unsure of is how I would add. Okay, all you do I'm exploring this with you in real time. If I just click plus, do you guys see how my tracks are showing up here? So I can have heavy kick. I could do on this one. I'm just going to do this very quickly. We'll do like a couple more examples. We'll do a snare.
And I wonder if you could have just dragged that that snare that you already had on the track. If you could have just dragged that onto the.
I tried that idea from one inspector into another, like into here, but it didn't work.
Not from the inspector, from the track itself.
With the previous track with just the drum synth on it, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like you had that snare up.
Yeah. Let's just try it. Let's try it real quick, but I don't want to get lost in this sauce for more than a minute or two. So we'll just create a brand new track, and let's say I made this sound and I'm happy with it. Let's make it. Let's go for something we haven't. So hats and cymbals. So are you saying drag this in?
No, drag the track.
The track just in like this?
Yeah.
That appeared to. No, that didn't work. Did it? Yes, it did. But where did it go on the actual? I don't think it worked. See how we all heavy kick, snappy snare? Like yeah, so I think that's the only way of doing it, just adding it in. But hey, here's the idea. You can take an audio sample, like say in your loop browser or in your file browser, you could just drag and drop directly into these if it's audio. That's the one thing I had an experiment with last night is actual instruments. But that's the idea. Let's just do 2 more of these real quick. Well, actually, we already made those, and we'll just chuck on 2 more of these. I'm not going to build a very complex one. As I mentioned, you can add effects and whatnot, but we'll keep it real simple initially. So we'll do percussion, and the last one will be the hats and cymbals, I believe it was called. I'm still learning all this stuff. Oops. Yeah, hats and cymbals. So now we have a real basic, I'll get rid of this one. Now we have a real basic track stack. And most of the ones that you have over in the electronic drum kit, they will be much busier than this. I'm just showing you how to build one. But at this point, you can actually record, like I could record any one of these separately. I could even record all of them at once if I wanted to. I'm not good at playing drums really well together. Do you guys get the idea though? You can, well, you can record it. Let me back up. I could record this in real time, which some people are really good at. My style is more like, let's click some stuff in. Let's kind of manipulate the MIDI side of things. That's a little bit more my style. So what I'll do is instead of using the keyboard, I'm going to, this is a new thing. So this is 10.5 exclusive. If you right click in any track, any software instrument track, or in this case, a drum machine designer track, you have two options up top. You can do a MIDI region or a pattern region. This is how you access the pattern sequencer. If I do MIDI region, it's just going to be an empty 1-bar region. That's what you would expect, but this one is new. And there might be a quick key for that. I'm not sure. There's no quick key here, but I just right click and create pattern region. And please notice down below, what do we see? A brand new section of Logic that has never been seen before until 24 hours ago. I'm going to press Y and hide the library. And what we can do, there's several things that we can look at down here, but I'm going to start real simple. We'll just do a 4 on the floor, just for the most simple example of all time. And now I can play this back. I'll put the cycle on. Do you guys get the idea? Very progressive drum track to start the day off with, right? Now, the cool thing is you have, well, I haven't even shown you half of what you can do down here. But before we get too far, with this track stack, let's say that the cymbals were too much and I wanted to pan the tom. I can still mix this stuff. And if you wanted to add reverb to just the deep tom, for example, Command 2 for your mixer. And notice that it's already automatically labeled, which is very, very handy. This already has reverb and delay in it, so I'll just send it to bus 1. We'll just do deep tom bus 1. Why is it going to 4 and 5? Oh, I'm tripping out here. Yeah, so it's going to be bus 5 right there. Now, that's just the quickest example of all time, but we could EQ, compress, distort, manipulate levels and pans. You could mute stuff without having, like, once you have your basic rhythm, you don't have to keep opening up the plugin just to make changes. Now, this whole thing down here, because it's so new, we'll probably spend a little bit more time with this. Are you guys feeling okay literally just clicking stuff in?
Yeah.
But here's the idea. You could always, once you have a pattern, you can go back and modify it. Let's say the kick was too much. Maybe we'll have less sweep and less decay, a little bit more saturation. So it's just really, really flexible. I just like how you can just jump back and forth between editing your pattern and changing the sound. You're not really set in stone unless you're using audio samples. Now, the whole idea of the pattern sequencer seems very simple, right? This, if you've ever used Ultrabeat, or, and I'm just using that from a Logic standpoint, but any step sequencer, this will be very predictable, and there's not really too much like learning initially. But let's go for a little bit more detail here. You can go up to 64 steps. If you went, let's go 32, because I don't really want to deal with that many, but if I go 32, I didn't have to copy and paste. It just automatically include, like, whatever was in 1 through 16 is now included in 17 through 32, but I can go in and do little fillers now, like little variations. You guys get the idea? So it's just real handy. I'll play it. It sounds like it's clipping, but it's not, and I think it's one of these. Anyway, I'm just going to keep on trucking. But yeah, if I went to 64, you would not have to copy, paste, or duplicate. It's just very, very intuitive. Now, let's go further. I'm going to hide the inspector because this actually can take up more space than what you're seeing right now. So I'll press I. And what we have here, we have a separate, there's a quick key for this, but it's the separate inspector. It's the local inspector. And this is like context-based. It's like, I don't know how many of these exist right now. You always have the main inspector up here, or you can press I. But this is giving you much more detail for the entire pattern sequencer. Do you guys see right here? Normally your editor for MIDI would be piano roll, score, smart tempo, but now you have this new thing, step sequencer. So we're in a completely different section down here. Unfortunately, actually, I shouldn't say unfortunately, I thought that you couldn't open this as a full window. You actually can, but there's no quick key yet. So if you go open step sequencer, what you can do is have this full screen, which sometimes could be very beneficial. And I'll actually probably work this way just for a little bit. So I'm going to reopen the local inspector here. And let me go through a couple things. Pattern is your overall pattern. That should be like, that's what you would expect. I can change the pattern length, as I mentioned. Let's go back to 16. Yeah, there's a little click when it comes back, but I'm going to keep on trucking. This one is pretty cool. The step rate. So instead of having to reprogram, you're like, hey, just run at half the tempo or double the tempo. Now you might not, for drums, you're like, oh, it's kind of cool. But when I'm going to show you some melodic stuff. I'll design a melody with using this concept, and then I'll duplicate the track and run it at double or half. And sometimes you get some really cool results. So these down here are the same divisions, but triplets. And then this, I don't know, dotted, I would assume. Any guesses? I would have to assume dotted. Haven't dived too much into those yet. Playback mode, as you'd expect, any sequencer, it's going to move left to right. You can now go right to left. You can go pendulum or swing, where it'll go from one end to the other and then back. And this one is random. This is where okay, and by the way, I was literally last night like, oh my goodness, not just with random, but if you, so say you have like a 4 on the floor, like driving techno rhythm, but you're like, I want some weird kind of abstract stuff, and you could bring it in and out. You could literally set up a little, I almost said drum rack, but a drum machine designer kit with just little clicks and pops and little, and then you could literally just randomize and then try different rates. It's super flexible for like generating ideas quickly. You can add or remove swing. So I can't offset this. I can't take this and move it left or right. I can't delay it a little bit, but you can actually introduce swing. You have 50 to 80, which is weird. Normally you can get higher than that, but let's crank that up. Actually, let's go forward. So definitely, if you're trying to work on electronic music, some people never mess with swing. I would say without swing, some things will feel super rigid. Definitely experiment with that. And this is just your swing for 8th notes or 16th note resolution. The pattern key does not matter right now because I'm not doing melodic stuff. And you can actually scale quantize. This I will get to. So I could play random notes and then be like, major pentatonic if I wanted to. I will show you melodic sequencing with this, which is actually one of my favorite things. Now, hi-hats. And actually what I want to do, I'm seeing if I can open quickly. It'd be awesome if I could just click here and then the crash cymbal plugin opens up, but that does not appear to be the case. So I'm going to close that. I just want to shorten the symbol, and I'll show you that we can actually automate that if we wanted to. So this crash cymbal, decay. Why is it clicking? Let me turn, I wonder if I can bypass just this one. Mute. It's still happening. It might be this deep tom through reverb. You know what I'll do? I'll just turn the whole damn thing down. Anyway, cool. So let's do this. Now, I already mentioned, let me reopen it in the full screen. It's probably easier on your eyeballs and easier on mine. I mentioned that each of these lanes, you can, well, obviously the whole idea is you can just click in. We have our pattern, sorry, the step right here. So I already mentioned you can go half or double or more. But this is where things get interesting. Each lane has its own divider. So those symbols are the hats. Let's say I want those halftime. Now you might not think that's a huge deal, but when I'm doing melodies and like generative melodies, I could have, you know, different lanes running at different rates, which is very, very cool. And another thing that is unique is that each lane can have its different directionality. So I could actually say I want this lane to play backwards for variations. Do you guys get the idea there? Random. You'll see just this lane is randomly jumping around. Now, I don't know about you, but that right there, just that idea, I'm like, I have about 50 ideas just based on that potential. So it's really, it'll take you an hour to 2 hours to get used to the interface, the layout of things, but it's really, and I'm going to show you some melodic stuff that I think, it might not be the best melody, but it'll be inspiring. Not like inspiring, but it'll give you some additional ideas. Now, you can go, do you guys see how we have all of these controls over here? Depending on your layout, maybe you want to do it over here, but I could click on the deep tom and I could change. Do you guys see how 8 and 8 right there is the same thing? So you can edit the whole pattern, the overall global settings. You can go row by row. And then step, I'm not quite sure. I think for each step, I could say, you know what, I want the velocity less on this one, but I'm going to show you a better way of doing that. So I haven't really messed around with the step-by-step section, but check this out. Heavy kick. If we click this little disclosure triangle, we get velocity and note repeat. You can add more, but do you guys see velocity, for example? I can have the first kick 109, the little double kick here, I could have, you know, 59 to 100, this one a little bit more. So you can edit the velocity of each hit, and note repeat is actually pretty dope. You can get doubles. Let me show you, or doubles, triples, whatever. I'm going to show you that on the snappy snare. I'll do note repeat. I'm clicking and dragging. Can you guys see those values changing? What I'll do is I'll do a double here, and I'll actually draw in a step here, and we'll do it like a glitch. We'll just do like 8. That does not sound good. We'll do one somewhere over here and we'll go like 4. This one is just too much, so I'm going to back that off. You guys hear how it's kind of like a little roll, and then we could back off the velocity of this one. So for getting glitchy, I don't want to say glitchy because some people are like, I don't like glitchy sounds, but for getting unique rhythms, these little note repeaters are awesome. For hi-hats, you can do the same thing. I'm not going to spend an hour on these drums, by the way. Let's do one right here. Actually, let's go extreme, 16th. You guys hear that? And obviously, just messing around with the velocity of those, you could have like 2 of those in a row, but one could be low, one could be a little bit higher. So you can get kind of like tie them together. Not tie them together, but have it ramp. Worth mentioning, I'm only using the stock velocity and note repeat. You can, here, let's focus on one of these. So let's go heavy kick. You can add in, just like in most software, as far as automation, you could have several lanes visual at once. You could definitely add more things in. See, when I click the plus, we get gate now. So I could actually shorten the gate time if I wanted different lengths. But check this out. You have a lot of other options. Tie, I could tie 2 notes together. This would be more useful for, typically more useful for melodic or bassline material. If you want, instead of bump bump, you want it to be bump, like you want to double the length, you could actually tie them together. I'll show you that in a few, but I just wanted to throw it out there. You have a lot of other options. Chance, I know the idea, but I think if we're going to put, so this little double hit, if we do 50%, there's a 49% chance that this will hit. I think it's I read something about this. If you read the fine notes, it's like there'll be a 49% chance of it playing. But if I had like 64 steps and I had this double section right here at different values, it will, I'm trying to remember how it said it. The idea was it won't be random every time. You'll actually get a predictable pattern. How about this? Let me show you for the hi-hats. That might be a little bit better. We're not going to spend too much more time on the drums. Little side note. Let's go chance here. Where is it? There we go. And what I'll do is actually, maybe I'll solo the hi-hats so we could hear those a little bit better. I need a larger screen. That is something I'm going to invest in pretty soon. So we'll just solo the crash. And then the chance down here, let's just pick some random stuff. It's a little bit quiet, but can you guys tell it's not predictable? It's not playing all of them. So that's probably something I shouldn't have mentioned because I'm not an expert on exactly what it's doing. But the idea is you're not going to get 100% hits all the time, just kind of generically. Are you guys feeling okay that this screen can get more complex? I just wanted to start with 4 voices, kick, snare, tom, and a hi-hat. Depending on, let me show you how this can look with a pre-built machine. I did open up a one initially, but then quickly switched it up. Let's just pick something random. Synthetic bass house, Cynthia, that sounds fun. If I had a kid, that's literally, I mean, first of all, if I had a girl, I'd be like, that's cool. Name Cynthia. Like, that's your name. Sorry. I just had that thought right now. It's not something I planned on. Now, if we look over here, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's still only the 4. It kind of kept the region or the pattern region that we had here. But if we open up, let's go back. I'm trying to remember how to do this. Well, we have numerous voices here, right? Let's just start over. So I'm deleting that. Okay, that's cool. That's good to know. If you delete it, it'll actually update. You guys see how many more, let's just go back to our full screen here. Many more lanes are now available. So is everybody clear? This can get much more complex. You can use any concepts I was just talking about, but one thing that I discovered, if you had 32 sounds within a machine, I think it just shows you, I don't know, like the essential ones, but you can always add in up here, add all. Or let's say that you had like the shaker that didn't show up, you could just add in the shaker. Do you guys see that? And you can drag, I think you just drag this down if you wanted to. So you can definitely customize the layout. And one more thing that I never mentioned, you can preview by clicking on the generic icon. Everybody cool with that?
Yeah.
Any questions, comments on just the intro to the drum side of things? Nada?
On the drum synth application you were using, it had a side chain on the side. What would it do? What would the side chain do?
It would sidechain. That was a joke. I don't sorry. Hold on. Let's make a new one here. Software instrument track. No, I would assume I could send, if I programmed in a kick. Where are you talking sidechain? I don't see sidechain.
This is where you had the percentage and chance and everything.
Oh, it's in the lane. Like over here?
No, it was just on the window you were just in, the drum synth one. And to the right of the percentage, on the top right of the window. Is that a chain or is it something else?
This, honestly, it's link, but I don't know if it's sidechain.
Oh, okay.
That link, what that does is if you have it on and you select a different track, it'll automatically switch to that, if it's an instrument or a plug-in or something.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've never done, I shouldn't say I've never done, but if I was doing side chaining in this software, I would use a bus. I don't really want to get off topic covering the new stuff, but what you could do is take a kick pattern. Like if we had kick like this, please. Let's just say we have this pattern. We'll just play it real quick. So if you just have boom, boom, what I would do is bus this. You would just bus it. We'll do this real quick, but just a quick example. Bus 4. Doesn't matter which bus. Nominal, just set it up to nominal. So I'm sending the kick to bus 4, but here's the thing. Every time you make a bus, it automatically creates the aux. I am using bus 4 as a silent side chain. I don't want this going to the stereo output. You will be doubling the kick drum if you do this. So on the side chain, I would say no output. You can just SC for side chain, just to stay organized. But then the other track that you're using, you would just have a gate or a compressor accepting bus 4. So we'll do this real quick. Actually, just for simplicity, because I don't feel like playing anything in, let's just go open up a loop real quick. We'll just use, mouse, get over here. I don't know. We'll go something quick. 70s piano, yes. No. Sorry. Perfect. So check this out. And then on this track, we'll just use any, I'll do a gate because it'll be way more obvious. Well, depends on your style. Dynamic gate. I haven't done this in a minute, so please bear with me. Noise gate. And sidechain right here. Bus 4. Oh, snap. We could actually... I'm like, what the heck is all this? Bus 1, bus 2, bus 3. Well, I know that heavy kick will work.
Those are the track.
Yeah, but they all appear to be the same thing, but it's just bus 1, 2, 3. Is it? It might be this up here. Bus 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Anyway, just, bus 4. It'll work. Oh, check it out. You don't even have to do that anymore, busing it. I could say I want the kick or the kick 2 or 3 without even choosing a dedicated bus anymore. That's new to me. I'm still trying to figure out, I get the idea, but who said that?
That's just showing you what's using those buses.
Oh, what's already being used?
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, I've never actually done this in modern times. But this is way easier. If you already have an instrument, it's like, oh, just choose the voice from that instrument that you want to use. But since I already had bus 4 set up, here we go. I forget, there's one more thing that I have to turn on, I think. So bus 4, I said we're not going to spend too much time, and here we are. Attack, hold, and release. Let's turn this way up. There you go. You can see the open close vibe there. Doesn't sound good, but interesting. Not really a great result. Maybe this has to be way higher. Yep. So that's the old school approach, send it through a bus, but you could also just now choose the sidechain directly, like whatever instruments already exist could be the sidechain source. Anywho, there we go. Check this out. Let's get into, I definitely want to cover some melodic stuff, starting over with everything. And the instrument probably doesn't matter. Actually, I'm going to go for more of a natural sound. When I think natural sounds, I'm going to load up the sampler. And we'll just pick a sound. I did that last night. I want to pick something else. Orchestral. I'm thinking something percussive. Let's go glockenspiel, xylophone. Beautiful. I just opened that up as a test. Now check this out. Right click, create pattern region. And you might be like, why in the hell would you ever click in your notes down here? Because you can get patterns that you would never play live. So a lot of people with a keyboard background, they're like, moving on. I'm like, this is very exciting to me personally. As I mentioned, this can be very customized. When you put this on a software instrument track that is melodic, notice that these are notes as opposed to kick and snare, drum voices. You just get the pitches. So what I'm going to do here, and actually I'm still getting used to this, but we'll just do full screen here. Very much worth mentioning. I can't cover everything, but I would say, remember that you have the local inspector right there where you can edit the pattern row and step. But this is a new button as well. It's the pattern browser. Everybody okay? Pattern browser. You can make your own patterns and templates. How do I go back here? But they have pre-made patterns. I'm not saying I would use this for, like I would just rip off a melody, but check this out. You could pick just something to start with and then modify it, but I think that there are also, there's a way of, yeah, this is what I was looking for. Do you guys see templates? Minor pentatonic as an example. You could pick any of these pre-made scales. That, you guys get the idea? This is just chromatic right here. Like that would just be the C scale. But if you already knew that you wanted something else, it's like minor blues. And then what you could do, I believe here. Yeah, check this out though. Do you see how all your notes just switched? So every single note that you click in will be in scale. It might not sound good, but it will be in the scale of F major blues. So I think that is just super freaking cool. By the way, I've never actually chosen a pattern over here. I just want to see how good these are. Let's go melodic, circular repetitions. Okay, this is actually what I was going to show you how to do from scratch. It's already kind of set up for you. But that's the whole idea. You can get kind of abstract patterns. Can you guys hear that? It's a little bit quiet in my headphones, but can you guys hear it?
Yeah.
So mess around with these if you want, but I'll show you how to build it from scratch. Again, oops, I got to go back one layer. So it's going to be templates, and I'm just going to pick a random scale. I'm a big fan of minor pentatonic for what I've been doing lately. It's kind of an easy one to start with. You can zoom, by the way. Everybody okay? I don't think, actually command up and down will do the same thing. Or left and right. Now check this out. We'll just do, and I'm just listening to the pitch. If you wanted to change the octave, I'm going to minimize the pattern browser here and then open up the local inspector. But you can do things for, like I want to keep this open because I'll use it later. But if you wanted to, instead of changing all these notes to go up an octave higher, for example, discovered this, you have functions and you have transpose and semitones or octaves. So if you start in, C2, but you want to start in C4, just do this a couple times. You'll see all the pitches will automatically change. So let's just go quickly here. Now you might be like, well, never mind. Okay, that's fine for now, for the example. Now, as I mentioned, each the overall pattern can be sped up or slowed down. And you might be like, why is that important? I might have a drum track and this feels too fast, but I like the overall feel. So I could have a drum track at 120, but I could have this playing at half or double. I don't really want to build a drum track, but do you guys get that idea? Instead of having to, so I developed this melody and then I write some drums real quick, but I'm like, the drums feel like they're not gelling. So it's just a quick way of changing the overall pattern. I know that's Captain Obvious, but when you're writing music, you don't want to have to stop this and redo the whole thing. Like, let's go to 30 seconds and use double the resolution. It's like, no, just click on the damn rate and you're good to go. The playback mode, forward and backward, we already covered all that. This is where it gets fun though. If I open these up more, command arrows, you can have each of these playing at different rates. And actually, before you do different rates, let me just show you this. There's a total. If I go to, I don't think I can do it here, even if this is larger. Yeah, unfortunately not. I'm going to start with the lowest root note here. And this is where the row becomes actually important because I can have 16th here and 16th up there, but the loop end. Check this out. This is where I was like, the game changer. For me personally, I'm like, each lane can be a different step amount and you can get polyrhythms. You can get this one melody every time it plays is going to be slightly different. So what I'm going to do, and there's no plan to this. I'm literally going to do each note. So each of these lanes, and by the way, these up here, I should delete. So you could just delete the unused notes. So I'm going to go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. Unless these get cut off, which obviously I'll change it. Do you guys get the idea though? Let me just play back just these for now. Okay, so that, it's like, I don't know if you guys know Steve Reich, whatever. I'm like instantly getting weird phasing ideas from this. He was a big fan of like phasing different melodies amongst each other. So you can get kind of automatic things. And I wouldn't cut this off. You guys get the idea? There's a note there. So maybe have it right there. Yeah, I could actually just this. It sounds very quiet. I think it's just because of this right here. Now, yeah, okay, this is never going to repeat exactly, but it will be familiar because all the notes are in the same key, but you'll get evolving, you know, evolutional. You'll get evolving melodies. It goes further though, because, well, actually, this is what I was messing around with last night. I'll duplicate this track, copy this down, and then this is just a quick idea for you guys if you ever just want to quickly layer something. Just pick something else. Let's go mallet, marimba, vibraphone. But then what I would do is go into this one. So I'm going to open that up. Oh, this works. Option, double click. So there's no quick key to open it full screen. But if you do option, double click. Now what I would do is I would go in and modify. This is the second one. Are you guys okay? It's on track vibraphone. So this is my alternate or duplicate. What I could now do is something like this. I could have, you know, certain lanes playing back in different directions or random. Do you guys get the idea there? So I'll have a few of these play back forward, some backwards, some random. And then maybe like this one, I will have faster. Can you guys just get, and I don't know, that to me, I'm like, oh my goodness, because I'm more of a programmer than a player, and you can use this with acoustic samples. You could use, I'll switch these to synthesizers real quick, and you get some crazy, weird, overlapping, again, evolving melodies, but they still feel familiar, and they'll work perfectly. If I threw a kick drum in right now at 120, it's like, oh, we have this melodic abstract house tune. So I'll just quickly, I'm not going to spend an hour picking sounds, but we'll go synth.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about like sending said sequence and then sending that to an external instrument.
You can do that.
Word, like using the external instrument.
I'll show you how to do that, but I don't have out here. I have no external MIDI gear, but I'll still show you how to do it. By the way, maybe I shouldn't spend too much time here. Plucked, retro pluck. So we went from acoustic sounds to well, this is artificial harp. That's still pretty natural sounding. Let's go for one more metallic echo tines. And then let's say that one of these, these are both in the, this is really important if you're layering. Sometimes you want both parts in the same octave, but usually if they're similar in timbre, they're gonna mush together, which could be cool. But a very simple thing I could do is take one of these and decide this will be lower. So I could transpose this down an octave. And then this is just an example. This could go up an octave.
You went up on both of them, Scott?
Yeah, I see plus 12, plus 12. That was a test. You're paying attention. Good job. So now there's less overlap. They're still together, but they're not sitting on top of each other in the same range. Real quick, because everything's better with kick drums. That's just a stupid joke. Let's just, and this is just quick, we'll just do a kick drum. I'm not going to program drums. But very quickly, I could start a song just with a couple little pattern sequences here. Oops. And then start, pick up an instrument, find some more samples. So it's just a real fast, easy way of getting going. I'm not feeling the sound on this one, but I hope you guys get the idea. I'm just throwing some stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Well, let's go for a bass sound. I hate to say it. That's pretty dope. Just for a quick example. How are you guys feeling with the introduction to the step sequencer?
I like it. It'd be very useful.
Yeah, keep in mind though, everything starts off the same. You know what I mean? Like everything is 16th, everything's going forward. You can always change the directionality here, but remember this was how you get even more far out examples. You have to keep in mind, you have to open up the local inspector. Is that what they call it? Yeah, local inspector, I think, please. Yeah, local inspector. There's a quick key. I haven't learned it. But pattern overall row, click on the row, and then you can change the behavior, specifically the loop end. But you could also, for example, I didn't show you this. I could say the start of this one is later. So that would be a row by row decision. One more thing that you can do is you can take this, I haven't shown you. So these, I can actually nudge. Do you guys see these? This is like go forward, go backward. Everybody cool with that? I'll probably take these out, but that was just a quick example. Any questions, comments? Because we're getting close to 12. There's a few more things I'll show you. Probably go a few minutes past, but how does that feel? Good?
It was great.
Making bangers. Let's do one more example, but I'm trying to think of what we should do here. Because you can do automation, plug-in automation. Let's just go with this one here. So I'll open this up. As I mentioned, you can open up per lane. You can have different, you know, for this one note, I can have velocity, gate, and tie, but there's more to it. I already covered that, right? Like all this stuff. Octave. Actually, I kind of want to start over, but let me just show you this, though. Do you guys see that you can add your own lanes in right here? So if we go notes, you could add in, like, I only want to see G1. That would be a separate lane. Right, there it is. I'll delete that. Up here, automation. Do you guys see all of these here? So I could actually automate all these things if I wanted to. Now you can still use your traditional automation. You know, in the main window, you could press, you know, A for automation and start doing stuff there. But this could be like step by step. Let's go transform, distortion. So I could, and I haven't done this one yet, by the way. I'm just going to do it on these. That does not appear to be more. Check this out. So all I did was open up the disclosure triangle. So distortion on. That is on the whole time. Let me mute everything except for this one. This might not be a super successful demonstration. Let's just back these off a little bit, and then maybe the last one will be up. I think what it's doing is it's receiving this message, and it's saying stay on 34 until this point. So let's do this and go 0. Okay, dope. So if you just turn all these on, you can actually automate per step distortion now. That is a completely different feel of automation versus like linear lines and curving them. You guys get the idea there? Now that was just distortion, but imagine you had one plugin with 10 controls. You could have 10 lanes. And another thing that I'm pretty sure is possible, you could have a audio recording of your vocal, but you could still use a pattern sequencer on that track to control effects. I'm pretty sure that's possible, but I have not gone that far yet. Maybe we'll do one more. Smart controls, I'm just going quick here. We did distortion. My mouse is jumping today. Cutoff. So if I open this up, we'll turn them all on, and then I'll just pick random values. There is a, by the way, this is like stepping from one, was jumping from one step to another. There is a way of slewing or smoothing it, but I forget how to do that off the top. That is something that was in the documentation, but it was late last night. This does not sound great, but a little clicky. Are you guys getting the idea? I don't know if we open up the plugin, if you would see the cutoff changing. Let's try that out real quick. Actually, it's the smart controls. So if we just go here, open that up. Well, there's distortion. Do you guys see distortion? I don't know if I can see the cutoff in the smart view. If we just open up Alchemy, will we see it? Yep. You guys see that right here? It's jumping around. So I think that's a pretty cool side note. This is not just for notes. you could have real-time performance, record something in real time, then quantize it, but still use a pattern sequencer to modify the behavior of your plugin parameters. In addition, I think that's a pretty nice little feature. Just remember, though, that there's a lot of different templates to start with if you wanted to experiment. Not here, sorry. Right here, the pattern browser. So we got templates, patterns, and then you can save whatever you come up with, you can save. If you got tired of making a drum template, it's like just make it and then save it. I have not saved yet, but you would go, I'm not sure, probably right here. Save pattern, save template. Everybody cool? So I would say definitely mess around with that. I think that's I don't know, that right there, one of the cooler new features in my opinion. Now the irony is I really like what we started with, having the marimba or the xylophone, whatever. Now we're into more techno territory, but that just goes to show you it can change pretty quickly. So yeah, I'm not stoked on the distortion and stuff, but at least we got some ideas cooking quickly. Let me check that little document. I minimized it on accident. We didn't cover remix. I can show you that real quick. I just want to make sure I cover all of this right here, by the way, what I was trying to show you. Somewhere in this article, somewhere in one of the articles I read, it's that you can drag the drum synth plugin directly into a sample cell, but didn't quite have success with that today. So I think I have shown you everything generally speaking, but the remix effects I didn't really mess around with last night. It's actually
dragging audio files instead of into the workspace into the track headers.
To the track headers?
Into the empty spot, it gives you an option to drag it into either a drum machine designer or no, like go to Apple Loops and drag it into it instead of
just down here.
Yep.
Interesting, but I wasn't concerned. No offense, I wasn't concerned with the sample. I was trying to figure out how to do the drum synth one. But let's just try that out real quick. Are you saying like one shots?
Even
or anything? So just drag this where? Right here? Oh, snap. Dude, that's pretty hip.
And you could even drag not only from the Apple Loops, but also from the workspace.
So if you had other files, where's workspace? This one here. So if I had an external hard drive or something, I could just drag it directly in?
No, from the workspace where the regions go. So say you put your Marquee 2 in.
Oh, here, and you could drag it over and make a new track out of it?
Yes, sir.
That's pretty hip. Sorry, I was confused there. But yeah, I didn't figure out I was still concerned with the drum synth thing, but we know that we could add it in manually. We figured that out. So, the remix effects, I don't know. I haven't even really messed around with them, and I forget where they are. I messed around with them on, here we go. I am glad that I didn't experiment. I opened up some of those templates and they are just cheesy, but I was doing like DJ scratching and like slowing it down. Like, I was like, damn, dude, I could totally be a techno star. Remix effects. Now the irony is we're putting this on one track. Let's put this on the master. It would actually be more fun. So we'll go no plugin. We'll put this on the master. Remix effects.
What I noticed using the iPad controller, when you press the FX, the remix effects, it automatically sends it to the latest remix effects on the master.
What do you mean the latest remix effects?
So say you had a limiter at the beginning of the chain, it would.
So at the end of the chain, right? Yeah. That actually doesn't sound like a good idea. I would say probably prefer it before, but clearly you could just reorganize it. Yeah, I haven't messed around with this on the phone. I don't have a tablet, so, but here's the idea. If you guys can't tell, I'm scratching in real time. I find this to be rather cheesy, but you might do this cool, like maybe for sound design on one element, you could do a filter sweep with the XY. You just click and it starts. So this is kind of cool, but I mean, it's a new feature. So I figured I'd show you. If you got filter, well, you have 6 possible things, and you could choose the same thing on both sides. You could do wobble, reverb, whatever you want. And there is a setting somewhere in here where you can change the rate. I'm forgetting how to do that one. There's a way of switching the parameters. Say, oh, right here. There we go. Yeah, right here. So for wobble, for example. Nope, that's not working. Oh, wobble time over here. So yeah, you can definitely manipulate. This is for the reversal time. I messed up. I wasn't reading. But you could definitely change some basic settings. Reverb. It's like, well, you get kind of 3 algorithms. But there you go. So this is new. One thing that honestly I never messed around with until last night as well, the multi-effects, the fat effects, and step. I've never messed around with this one. We'll just check this out real quick. Oh, snap. This could be really fun. It's too complex to get into. I think these have been out, the step and fat effects have been out for a minute. I could be wrong on that, but I've definitely... Say again?
Since like 10.3, I think.
Yeah, and here's the irony. I don't always check everything out. If it's just a plugin, I'm like, oh, that's cool. This thing is gnarly. This is the fat effects. Let's do just drums in one part over here. Yeah, it's already messing it up, like kind of in a cool way. We'll just leave everything going. But I haven't even really chosen presets last night. I was like just turning stuff up. This is pretty intense. So don't be scared, okay? There's, I mean, just starting off, distortion. There's 3 different flavors, and you can click in here and get different. So you can just completely blow out a drum track, if that's your thing. And then turning the filter on, you can actually, with the envelope follower, you can have your filter open and close. Too much depth. Okay, someone explained to me why 10% movement is 200%. That makes no logical sense to me at all. Because it's almost not usable. I guess if we back this off. You guys see this right here? It's kind of following the shape of the drum. But I'm just throwing it out there. Distortion with the filter envelope follower, you can get like movement. Even if it was an acoustic drum kit, you can get kind of a pulsing rhythm out of it that's not automated. It's just automatically following the envelope. I found that to be pretty useful. So like a melodic thing can become noisy experimental techno pretty quick. And that's how you get famous in Germany. No, I don't. There's a lot of weird German techno dudes out there making super dark, distorted stuff, but I'm kind of into it sometimes. But I kind of quickly ended on these. Again, they're in the multi-effects. The remix thing, I don't know. They're kind of keeping it simple there. It's like, hey, you want to be an electronic musician? Chuck some loops in. I think it's a little bit cheesy, but for some people that might be the most exciting thing they've ever experienced. So yeah, that's just kind of a quick overview of the remix effects. Again, though, try this out on like one element. Like just have a weird little melody, and then you could, I'm sure you could record this, not 100%, but you could definitely record it in real time to another track if you could not automate it. Can you automate that? Did someone chime in?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured anything that you're moving can be recorded. So I've given you an introduction to all the new updates, all the new features that were not there as of yesterday or the day before. Do you guys have any questions, comments on just the introduction that I've presented?
Do you get the update through the Logic app?
App Store? Yeah, I don't think there's, I don't think in here you can have like an automatic... I don't know. My info? Nope. Yeah, I don't think there's a way of automatically searching for updates. If you just go to the App Store, where the heck is it? Boom. And then it would just show up in updates. updates, and it'll say if it's available or not. And actually, you'll probably even see on the App Store, you'll see like this little, there'll be a little number there. I think Mo was giving me a hard time one day about that.
Yeah, I see.
It's like, back off, dude. Any questions, comments, concerns, jokes?
In regards to, so this is an introduction. So in regards to like, say, going further, what would you advise doing aside from the 1 hour, staying in one section and then taking a break and then coming back for another hour?
Well, the only reason I say an hour is because I get tired of staring at a screen. I mean, in class, I also, this class as well as normal class, people's attention spans are shorter and shorter. So sometimes I could easily go more. But it's good to take a mental break, even if you're not feeling exhausted. If you do this, if you're working on music with a computer for 4+ hours, it does become a little bit taxing on your eyes and your ears. So that's more of it might be more psychological, because I'm never like, especially on headphones, I'm never rocking out loud. I might listen to one thing for a minute at healthy level, but I'm never going to be pushing it that much. But I think it's good just to get a mental break more than anything else. But if you, so I don't know, like might sound like a weird, well, it's a personal statement. I'm more comfortable with the engineering and the technicality of this stuff than making good music. So when I'm learning, it's different than a songwriter learning something. My recommendation is just strictly from just for learning, regardless of backgrounds and learning styles. I would say just focus on the new stuff, one thing at a time. But here's the irony. It's like once you get the hang of all the basics, you can now combine them all into one workflow. It's like once you learn the Drum Machine Designer and you learn your pattern sequencer, those are working together. Then I could actually open up my live loop section, drag this over, and start getting a little live jam going and record that back into the arrangement and get different results. So it's really, I would say that was just a recommendation. Your brain might work completely different. But what I did last night, about 4 to 5 hours, and I learned all this stuff, and it's already up here, and I don't have to like go back and worry about it, you know? That sounds like bragging, and it is. No, I'm not bragging at all. Certain programs I just pick up quick. Ableton took me a lot longer, but Logic's just a little bit more intuitive. But yeah, Fernie, don't feel like this is I mean, it should be fun too. Like ultimately, think like, oh, the playground that I go to play now has a few new things. We got some monkey bars and we got like a new sand pit. Let's just go explore. There should not be pressure. When you're in school, like day to day, it's different because there's grades and attendance and you have maybe work or not, but you have a lot of other things. If you're just at home right now, spend at least a couple hours a day on any piece of software and just have fun. Don't even try to, I hate to say it, but try to accomplish only learning and experimenting. Don't even try to write a song. But in the process, you will probably come across something cool. I think that a lot of people have this, not a lot of people, but maybe half the people that are working with computer music, they're like, it has to be good and it has to be competing with Bassnectar or whoever the big people are, like Deadmau5. And it's like, how about you just work on yourself? Just work on your own stuff and don't compare it with anything else. And how does it make you feel? Just have fun and stop comparing anything that you're doing with anybody else. And literally, it should just be an enjoyable process. So that's just how anytime I'm working on stuff, I'm never trying to sound like someone, never having expectations. I'm like, but I think that helps never get writer's block because I'm never trying to sound like someone else. I'm never trying to clone something. Well, sometimes it is a good idea to try to mimic something for learning. But as far as my recommendation, just mess around and have fun. I think I've been saying that in various ways for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Scott.
I like to ramble though. That's one of my favorite things. Any questions, comments, concerns? I could keep going, but at this point, it would just be me messing around, and I don't really think I should get paid to do that. But how about this? Those of you that already have this, those of you that might be downloading it in the next day or two, do me a favor. If you come across any cool like maybe some details that I didn't hit on, or maybe like an idea but you flipped it into something else, let me know. Just you could even share a damn session with me, as long as it's not 5 terabytes of audio samples. But yeah, sharing Logic sessions, it's definitely possible. I think Tank sent me one. It was like a little vibraphone, cool, I don't know, little theme. So you guys, yeah, you just mess around with this stuff and then hit me up. You could either email me a session or just a question or a comment. Don't be shy.
Rad.
Yeah, so I want you guys to mess around with it, have fun. Also, keep in mind, I hate to say it, but you're going to learn a lot just by going through these tutorials. They do require downloads just to run through them, but I think you guys would definitely benefit. There's only 3 of them, but I spent like probably 30 minutes on each one, something like that. And if you've already used Logic, it'll go quicker. If you were brand new, obviously it'll take you a little bit longer. One more thing. Demo project, it used to be Beck for the longest time. Now it's Billie Eilish. Does anybody know, like, it's her and her brother, but I can't remember the brother's name? Anybody? Oh, Phineas, right here. Duh. But he's like in love with Logic. He was on like the press release, like, this is the best thing ever. I'm sure he got paid a healthy amount of money to say that. This is you have to download the session, and it does take a lot, but you can see very quickly his workflow, and I think it's actually really cool. I've never even heard Billie Eilish before this track, but I'm like, damn, this is actually pretty good. And then I did a little back reading. It's just the brother and sister making music at home, and they blew up, And I believe one of our graduates is their sound person, Drew something.
Yeah, he did a Zoom meeting.
Yeah. I missed that, unfortunately, but no, it's kind of just a small related world. But if you guys see, I'm more from the synth and just like instrumental background, but you can see very quickly vocal textures. It's going to be like a dozen tracks, and you can kind of analyze for pop music, like how useful these simple concepts are. You could solo each one. So I don't know. I like me, it's not something that I would make with my voice, but it's still good to know that people are, with this $200 piece of software, are making like, Billboard charts sort of thing. So this just goes to show you don't need Pro Tools. You don't need the fanciest stuff, as long as you have creative musicians and you know how to use the piece of software in front of you. It does not have to be Pro Tools. And I'm not anti-Pro Tools at all. But so many people are like, oh, Pro Tools is the best. It's like, no, it's not. If you're recording a band, I would say it's the most intuitive, quick way. If you're writing at home or at someone's house just casually, Logic or Ableton is by far just more fun, creative, and cheap too. And you don't need a damn iLok. So yeah, I'm just like falling in love with Logic all over again. Thanks, 10.5 update. You've inspired me. But this is actually a pretty cool tune. I'm not going to play it right now. That'll inspire you to go actually download the damn update. But yeah, I listened to this. I'm like, damn, there's more vocals than instruments. That just kind of goes to show you. Vocals are very, very, that's a very important part of pop music. But yeah, I think that just about concludes it, unless you guys have other questions. Nada? Does everybody know about the sound library options? So relocating that? Relocate. I would strongly recommend putting this on external drive, especially when you get the update. The update is not like a large download. I think it's a gig maybe, but there are immediately more sounds to download. And if you've already done that, it just automatically throws it over to the external. So yeah, please keep that in mind. It'll be very useful. Let me see real quick before we end this. Did I have anything from last night? Yeah, check this out. Tests. These are all from the Logic book. Let me see if I came. Honestly, I should have saved like, use this. These might not be that good. But this is all just using the same concepts. I don't think this bass is that good. No, it's actually this. Yeah, so you can get with this, you can get really electronic sounding bass lines. This is just a real. So instead of having one lane per note, I did it differently. This is just one. The step is either on or off, but then I added, like down below here, I have note and octave. So everything, I think it's based around C, but I threw in a couple, like there's a G, there's a D sharp, and then there's an octave. So you can get really, I wasn't going for the sound of, I don't think this sound is amazing. But it's just the idea, and in Wikibase, I found that entertaining for some reason. But the idea is for electronic sort of vibes, I think it's really, really useful. Let's go. I don't know why the solo. Oh, there is element solo within that. That wasn't that great of an example. Let me do one more. Someone asked me, like, hey, third-party plugins, is everything showing up fine? Close, don't save. God damn it. That's a good point. I was using my iLock last night for the third-party plugins. Anyway, no, get out of my life. I just wanted to see if I had any cool examples. I had a couple really cool things, but I just didn't save them. But then I remembered I saved a couple. Get out of my life. Yeah, so more of the generative. Ooh, I really wish that I actually had the plugins on because they're really driving it quite a bit. Let me turn these. This is what we'll end on. I'll just remove the stuff that I don't. Yeah, I was using Sound Toys and GRM, no plugin. This is all using the same concepts that I showed you, except for this one. It's just a clean bass recorded in real time. So this is what I started with. And it's the same exact idea as what I showed you, where you have different lengths and different directions and whatnot. So I'm not going to go through all those details, but I started with this one, copied it down, and then made changes. Let me turn this down a little bit. And then it is not mixed, but then with the whole idea, I was at 80 and I wanted it to be more of a drum and bass feel. So in the drums, you guys, I mentioned this casually, but in the drums, the default is 16. Here's how it would sound, which is cool. But I was like, I want it to be drum and bass territory. So this is just a good example right here. You guys get the idea there? Just wanted to kind of recap on the doubling or halving of time is super useful. And then just brought in this duplicate. I'm getting glitches on this. Are you guys hearing the glitch or not really?
A little bit.
It's probably this. And I have some plugins. Oh, yeah. Why is that changing? Anyway. Please leave me alone. Please. I get cranky with stuff. I think on the master I have a plugin. No, never mind. Yeah, so that just getting those generative melodies with real simple drum programming, it's easy to kick out. And I had like 3 or 4 other sessions I didn't even save. So I just wanted to, I don't know, check and see if any of that was worth showing. And there you go. Let me go back up here. I'll stop sharing my screen so I can see all y'all. Actually, I could just look up there. Where is my cursor? I'm going to stop the share and bring you guys back down here. So it is about 12:24. We went a couple minutes past, but I think that's totally cool. A few people already dipped. If you guys want to put your name into there. Oh, I'm reading. There's a couple messages sent to me. Mo, I just saw the automation thing. 8 automate still allows you. Yep. I wish that I could keep track of the chat in real time. Fernie said, wait for the note repeat option. There's a plugin called Note Repeater. It's a MIDI effect. So you could play one thing. Oh, well, hold on. Mo, can you explain this Zoom side note on the shared screen? If you click on view options, choose 200. Oh, that view follows my mouse?
Yeah, in fact, hold on a
But it's
second.
on your. That would be on the student end or on your end, not on my end, right?
On a student end. But I think it's helpful for when you're talking and we can't see or read whatever you're seeing.
What can you give me an example of what you wouldn't be able to see?
Oh, it's when the text is small. But here, I actually screen recorded a section here, so I will share that.
Yeah, I'm just anything like this is good to know, so we can just keep improving the quality of these things. Oh, what I'm going to do though, right now, I'm going to stop the recording because this is we're just chatting at this point.